Hey, this is Mike Taravella, asset manager at Rand Partners. And if you want to learn how to sharpen your axe and take down your biggest goals, you should be listening to the Small Axe Communities podcast with my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Nico Salgado.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Nico Salgado, and I chat with top industry leaders in multifamily and business. I believe that it only takes a small axe to build a lasting empire. And if you want to learn how to use your small axe to accomplish your biggest dreams and goals, then join our Small Axe community and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Small Axe Communities podcast. Today's guest is Mike Taravella. Mike is the asset manager for Rand Partners and is responsible for overseeing over $100 million in assets under management. Mike collaborates with vertically integrated property managers to ensure the execution of the portfolio's business plan. Mike is actively pursuing new opportunities within the market and developing relationships with investor bases. Mike is a CPA, and before joining Rand Partners, he has worked for 5 years professionally in accounting. His experience ranges from working at Ernst & Young to working with Dan Gilbert's startup community at Rock Ventures. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Nico, happy to be on, excited to be on, and just an amazing opportunity to provide value to you and your listeners.
Likewise, man. I can't say enough about you. You are one very influential person in my career and my life. So let's see what we can provide our guests today. I'd like to start with asking you a little bit about your journey and where you came from in the accounting world.
Yeah. So originally I grew up, my family is either you were a teacher or you worked for Chrysler. I'm from Detroit, so no middle ground. So I was the black sheep of, I've always wanted to do business. I was great with numbers. And so my mom introduced me to accounting as the language of business. And so my senior year of high school, I took it and I was like, I'm going to do this because I know everyone needs accounting. And my math teachers in high school called me a sellout because I went that path instead of getting a PhD in math. So in college, did well with accounting. It was the love-hate relationship. I loved it. I hated it. I loved it. I hated it. And then my master's year at Michigan State University, I realized that I talked to my professor and I was like, I started a screen printing business. I had some entrepreneurial drive. She saw that. And I asked her, and I had a very good relationship with her. And I asked her, in all honesty, am I going to struggle with accounting? She said, yes. And I thought she was kidding. And then she wasn't. And I was like, why? She's like, you have a lot of risk tolerance that not many accountants have, right? So the ability to start your own thing in college and take, study for the CPA, studying for class, studying for CPA exam, and launching a screen printing company. It's a little bit different. And you're social. Not saying that all accounts aren't social, but like you're a whole different creature of social. And so I worked for 2 years at Ernst & Young, and it was amazing learning opportunity of just seeing the financials. I'm seeing under the hood of how large corporations run their business. Not saying accounting drives the business, but you're seeing how the data comes in, what to look for, and really understand the financial statements. So I got an opportunity 2 years later to work for Dan Gilbert. And the best thing was I wanted to do the startup path, but I also want to take my accounting experience and help the startup. So I moved across the street in Detroit and worked with Dan Gilbert, and I helped launch a media production company, Woodward Originals. I helped launch an esports organization called 100 Thieves, and just helped probably another 12 or so tech startups within Detroit, and just biz dev, working with their numbers, making sure that they understand them, because it is the language of business. Everyone, when you ask them about their budget, they don't really know. Sometimes you need on the business side of just making sure that they understand the X's and O's and what's going on under the hood. So there came a point in my career of I knew I needed, and seeing Dan Gilbert, what he was doing to Detroit, of buying Detroit properties, revitalizing it, really helping the community, I was inspired to do the same thing and to help and seeing him accumulate so many properties. I started with my first single family in 2016, got my next one in 2017, and realized why do I have to wait a year to save up enough salary to get a down payment again and do the same thing and get another job? So I was on Bigger Pockets. I'm connected with John Kasman, who we both know of Target Market Insights and Kasman Capital. And he just blew my mind of multifamily. So I went to his conference, and it blew my mind of the capabilities of doing it. I thought you needed to have all this money, all this experience. I mean, you still need to have the knowledge base, but as he just introduced me to the idea of you can help someone learn and grow and be a free intern and help them, that it presented me the opportunity to be here with Rand Partners and the Jake and Gino team, which is our founders, Jake Stenziano and Gino Barbaro. And now I'm here on a podcast with the great Nico Salgado. So
Oh, yes.
win.
That's right. Let's break that down a little bit. So moving from accounting over to startup companies, what was your mindset during that shift? And did you feel like you needed to shift your mind, or was it something exciting, or how did you feel about that change?
So I think the big thing, it was a lot of shifts in mindset and that transition. So it sounds like I got the golden ticket of opportunity, which it was, but I think the biggest thing was I was 23, so overweight that leaving work, I think my last week before quitting, I realized that my heart was like hurting. So I was like so stressed, overweight. I called him Fat Mike. And
Wait a minute. So was Fat Mike, was your heart hurting because you loved accounting and you were going to break up with accounting, or was your heart physically hurting?
Physically hurting. It was physically hurting. I was driving home. It was like probably 10 o'clock. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm 23. I have chest pains. And I think Gary Vee not got famous, but had a famous video of "You're gonna die." And so I took that to heart of, if I don't get my shit together, I'm gonna die before I'm 30 of just eating myself, not loving what I'm doing. And it was just a huge moment in my life. And so when I switched over to Dan Gilbert's, I just awakened a whole new path, right? Career-wise, new opportunity to work with Dan Gilbert and the family of companies they have, and just really make an impact in the stamp.
No.
Health-wise, it was working out every day, getting my exercise, playing basketball with this crew that this just helped me build the confidence, and that building block helped me learn and grow.
So you also had to change a lot of habits as well. What about like your time and your schedule? Did you adjust anything there, or was there anything new you had to learn, or what was a skill set that you needed to pick up through that transition?
So the skill set was, I was working before with all accountants every single day. And so they know accounting, like they understand debits and credits. When you go to a startup of a media production company, they don't know no one knows what debits and credits are. They have this grandiose vision. Nico, you're a creative soul. So if you had this kid coming in with a polo and you're corporate for the startup community and someone's telling you have to do X, Y, and Z, you're hurting that creativity, right? You come in and you have to do a lot of teaching and education of what accounting is. Why is it important? How to track and monitor your success. Even now, if I came in and told you, Nico, hey, you need to have a budget and you need to be within this number every single month, be like, who the heck is this kid? I'm producing this next great commercial. I'm working with all these big companies. Why do I need to listen to you? So you got to get on their level and make sure you're realizing that you're a part of a team. So it's making sure that you're providing value and showing them value of why you're there, and educating a lot of those groups because they just don't know. And that's just teaching is a hard skill that I thankfully had my parents to help me over the years because they were educators. So just making sure they learn and grow every week, month, however we met, to help their business thrive.
Yeah, it really sounds like that's what your career path is like. It's like a metamorphosis. You went from accounting, you're changing now, going into these startup businesses. And then you got into, real estate investing, and you started typically the way most people start. And
Yep.
Now, why did you choose real estate over other investment vehicles?
So for me, I started looking when I was in Ernst & Young because I needed something to use. I just saw so many stories. I came across Bigger Pockets and just saw the stories and the success stories that they were producing every day. So when we were working 80 hours a week, long drives. I mean, I'd have to drive to Muncie, Indiana from Detroit, which is like 6 hours. So you have a lot of time in the car. So you find the podcast and it resonated with, I took control. And so the real estate was a medium in which I could control a lot of the aspects. It's not perfect, but it really one I could take the most control in and create wealth with. And so that was the path I did. And I did single family because my thought process was that's what I could afford. I even partnered with my single families because I didn't have enough money for all the down payment, but it helped me learn a skill set of working with more people and to help have a fiduciary to someone to, hey, we need to make money. We need to get rent. We need to move the needle on this property and help the community grow from our one property.
Well, so then you started shifting gears again, and you met up with John Kasman, and you expanded your mind a little bit more to think more bigger, and it's interesting. A lot of people start where we're like, I can't afford this, I can't do that, I need to start small, and that's definitely an excellent way to get into the real estate game. But then there had to be another shift in your mind that said to you, well, I'm going to go bigger. Was there a defining moment? Like, was it when you met John Kasman, or what gave you the sense that you could accomplish something bigger?
I think it was February 1st, 2018. I met with John and we got breakfast in Chicago. And I said, I think I know the answer to this, but do I need to go to this conference? And at the time it was the Best Ever Conference, because I was surrounded myself with accounting people that I didn't have as many multifamily people in the Rolodex. So for me, I needed that push to be like, you're doing it. And so I think the conference was the end of the month. I averaged 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night because I was trying to launch my brand so that coming out of the conference, if you Googled me, I was associated with real estate. So I was working on blog posts, working on a podcast, working on a website, just trying to get traction. And just really hone in on it. I even hired like a coach the week before just to kind of get an insight, because I knew my biggest fear was that a year from February 1st, 2018 to a year from now, I didn't want to be in the exact same position of I had all the tools, the opportunities, and I just let it go to waste because it wasn't, I wasn't ready, or I was tired, or whatever excuse I might have had, but I was just all for it.
So then you made it to the conference.
Made it to the conference, networked, got another 4 hours of sleep. And then when I came back, I think I got 42 hours of sleep in 3 days. So it was an all-in moment, right? And mentality and thought of, it doesn't have to be an investment. I think people, when they think of the startups or I have to get in real estate, I have to go all in on a property. You have time, money, and energy just to put into it. So I put all of my time into learning, studying. I read Joe Fairless's book in a month. And because I did all those things, I ended up here with Jake and Gino and the Rand fam. And I don't recommend it, but for me at that time, I was so passionate about multifamily that it wasn't work. It was just how can I do this? Not, I can't do this.
So that is an excellent mindset to have. And my podcast is really about breaking that down and talking about people who use tools like a small axe, right, to try to chop down dreams and big trees and take down their most wild accomplishments that they feel like they can't handle. So what they do is what I recommend people do is sharpen the axe so that you're not chopping away at a tree with a dull blade. And it seems like during that month of time, you are just putting in so much work, so much overtime. And we tend as investors and entrepreneurs and business people to go take that route, to push and push and push and try to chop away at it. But at times it might be best to take a step back and look at what we can do to better our position, what we should really be focusing on, how we can, what specific tasks will really move the needle, as you like to say. And if somebody were to start in getting invested in multifamily and start their education in multifamily, similarly to the way you did, during that course of that month, would there be some kind of suggestion that you could make to somebody to maybe sharpen the axe a little bit before beating themselves to the ground?
I mean, education's a big piece, so I don't want to say, don't be educated, but there's a lot of great books out there. I think the podcasts are a good resource to get some motivation, but eventually it comes to a point where you got to take action. So the podcast can help you get the right people, get out there. So Wheelbarrow Profits is a phenomenal podcast. Rand Series, we go into the more technical piece of it. There's so many great podcasts out there, but as long as you're not getting overwhelmed with them, and it takes a lot of self-awareness to realize that. So just go deep on the podcast to a point, read the books to a point, but also apply it, right? So I think a big piece is I was actually helping a group underwrite deals for free during that time. So while I was listening, while I was reading, I was applying what I learned by helping another group underwrite deals for free. It allowed me to get experience into seeing the numbers, because in accounting, you see the numbers, but when you're underwriting, you have to look at the finance aspect. So they're the same, but different. Accounting, you're looking at historicals. Finance, you're looking forward. So I could understand the X's and O's and what's in the T12 and pro forma and poke holes, but I couldn't tell you how to do it correctly. So I got that. I sharpened my axe by applying what I learned every single day. And that, I think, was the next level, because everyone can listen to a book and read a podcast, but taking that action of how can I help an existing group grow? Well, that's how I got my opportunity, by taking that massive action.
Right. And it comes down to the analysis paralysis stage. Sometimes we spend way too much sharpening the axe and not enough time taking action. So there is a point where you got to just sometimes shoot from the hip, right? And just go for it. And sometimes, and for me personally, that's a lot of times that's the way that I get into something and then force myself into something, because there's no turning back. Once I commit, I commit.
Burn the ships.
That's it. Burn the ships, right? Awesome, man. So now let's talk. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because in Rand Partners, you also have another role where you help students in the Wheelbarrow Profits Academy, and you mentor students.
Yep.
Okay. And do you feel that is a challenging, rewarding? What kind of feelings do you get from mentoring?
I love teaching and pushing people, right? So I think the biggest thing is making an impact. One of my core purposes, that is me personally, is I want to help 1 million people become an investor. So whether you're listening to this podcast and you say you have nothing, you might be able to rent out an Airbnb room. I know right now during the pandemic it might be hard, but moving forward, you're expanding your mindset to becoming an investor. How can I have my money work for you? Maybe you're renting out your garage for space. Maybe you're renting out your car. There's so many different avenues that people aren't unlocking that potential, that's my core purpose. So when it comes to the Jake and Gino community, being a mentor, I absolutely love it, because not everyone's the same. Everyone has different stories, but we're all in the same point here. We're here right now. Let's make an impact. I'm not trying to force you to do a deal. I'm trying to help you learn and move the needle and make you grow and become an investor. And I tell all of the people I work with, I might look at a deal differently than you, Nico. However, I want you to make sure you have your core targets, your purpose of what you're looking for, so that you can make educated decisions going forward. Because we have very different risk tolerance, even though we're multifamily investors. You might believe in a market that I don't, but I'm making sure that you can have your own hypothesis, learn and grow from that, so that you can make a decision and move forward and tackle on deals. So it's I find it truly rewarding and just super awesome. And the Jake and Gino community is just an unbelievable group of just people who get it done, make it happen, and take action. So I just love the community, the group, and my mentor or my mentees, and just helping them out as much as possible.
I'll tell you, Mike, I couldn't agree with you more. Since I joined Jake and Gino back in 2019 in November, and the very next day was like just a whirlwind of information, knowledge, and my mind just expanding. I cannot even fathom life prior to joining Jake and Gino. And, just meeting with and connecting with the community and meeting with like-minded individuals has really taken my career from 0 to 60 in literally one weekend. When I went to that first boot camp right away, I took in I flew standby. I got there late, and had a warm welcome by everybody. We went out to dinner and just started talking right then and there, and my mind was just expanding, like literally by the second. And I came off that trip of such a high, and so confident and so secure in what I wanted to do for my future. And I want to shift gears to that now. So what is in store for your future, Mike?
We're just looking to grow our investor base and tackle on more deals. We have a couple things going on in the hopper that we're working on, but we're just looking to grow. I think our goal for Rand Partners is to get to 1 billion assets under management throughout the Southeast, focusing on the long-term hold strategy that Jake and Gino became very wealthy on. And we're trying to help a lot more investors follow that trajectory by investing alongside us. So we're just excited on that piece. I'm trying to grow, like I said, core purpose is help 1 million people become an investor, whether it's a room, a bed, a couch, whatever it may be, just help explore that mindset and just continue to make an impact in the community. We have a group, Rand Cares, and we helped last year as the Boys and Girls Club, building a playground and basketball court and et cetera. But, we're on this earth for such a short period of time that I just want to make as much of an impact as possible, whether it be financially, whether it's giving you the confidence to invest in real estate, whether it's even educating you on why real estate. I just want to make an impact no matter where you are in your investing career, personal career, whatever you may be. Every day is a new beginning to move the needle forward and to progress. So every day you have that opportunity to become what you want to be, and you just got to remind yourself.
Oh, that's great, Mike. And I'll tell you what, you are all of those to a lot of people at this point. And I truly, truly appreciate you and all your help. I kind of want to jump back to the mentoring.
Yeah.
Have you seen any commonalities in people as far as barriers that they've faced when you're when you're talking to somebody or mentoring somebody?
I think it's got to be, I think when you start a mentorship, or even if it's with a Jake and Gino community or someone else, I think it's just, you got to lower the barriers. And when you first start off, it's a very vulnerable point. I know I want to get to X. I don't know how to do X. I don't know what I need to do to get to that point, but I know you as a mentor have done it. So it's vulnerable because you don't know how, and you're entrusting someone that does. And so it's just really making sure you have the alignment of fundamentals, of core beliefs, and making sure that you guys connect in that way, because that person will know, like, and trust you to push the needle forward and help you learn and grow. A lot of with my mentors is, there's a lot of I wouldn't say a lot, but I can't do this. I can't invest in this market because it's too hot, or I can't invest out of state because I'm not there to check on the property. Eliminate those, change those I can'ts to how can I? So, for example, how can I, and I was managing my properties in Michigan from Tennessee. So how can I ensure that the property's safe? Well, I can pay someone to go check on the property. It's just changing those I can'ts to how can I will explore solutions-oriented mentality versus just shutting it down. And that's where you can truly get the creativeness to solve problems, to tackle your wildest dreams, and to make it happen.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'll tell you, and a lot of times that dialogue is happening within us, the I can'ts, and we don't project that out. But once we are forced to talk to somebody like a mentor, an accountability coach, and say, no, I can't do this, it might even sound ridiculous to yourself because you're saying it and you never really thought about it. But once you say that word, I can't, you're putting up a wall in front of yourself. And I think, a job that you have and that you've done excellent with, I've seen the results of, is breaking down that wall and exactly like you said, challenging that I can't, because everything is possible. And if we set any kind of limits on ourselves, there is no moving forward after that. So we have to be open to the possibilities that anything is possible. And then we talk about how to make it happen and you work through it. So in working with you, you've connected me with various people who have just expanded my mind. And prior to talking to these kind of people, I would have felt the same thing. I can't do X, Y, and Z. But just by dialogues and talking and meeting and sharing ideas, these doors are just opened up. And yes, and in reality, you can accomplish a lot more than you think you can.
I mean, to give an analogy, when I was 60 pounds heavier, people told me I couldn't run a half marathon, and I did. Then I ran a half marathon thinner. People were like, wow, you did so much. And then I was running a marathon this past October. Really like, you can't do that. And so just like leverage the people telling you can as motivation, that fuel to the fire, because all the people who told me I couldn't run a half marathon, I was remembering them mile 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And when I crossed the finish line, all those people who said I couldn't do it, even all the people that said I would lose money in my first single family. I'm selling the property tomorrow. We're getting closing docs. My mom cried and said, I'm losing all my money. All my friends are like, what if this happens? And then I eventually got to the point I had answers to all their what ifs. It was, what happens if a tornado picks up the property? So the what ifs got radical. People are like, why would they do business with you? So all the people who told you I can't, that's just fuel to the fire to why you should do it.
You see, that is a great mentality to have, because a lot of people take those I can'ts and they absorb them and internalize them, and it becomes a wall. But it's and other people then tend, tell you to avoid those naysayers and just not be around them anymore. But there are people like your family, your friends, close friends, that you can't necessarily just block out and leave. So I like that idea that you turned that into fuel, as opposed to just walking away from them and ignoring them, because they are, our loved ones are important people in our lives, and they're definitely there and tell us things because they care about us, but it's not necessarily the best advice for our career paths or our visions and goals.
I see you smiling on that, so I could see you already thinking of all the people who said I can't. Why are you doing that? What's going on? And it truly is fuel. Like, think about it. Like, when those days when you're not sleeping because you're working on something or whatever your project may be, those people are sleeping, kind of going to the same 9 to 5 that they've inspired to. So everyone has a different path. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do your path. They're just saying it to protect you, but really you just have bigger aspirations to shoot for, to take over and just dominate. So just win every day and move that needle.
Oh, I love that, Mike. I'm going to ask you one last question. This might be a heavy kind of question, so you answer it as best as you can.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's imagine it is 100 years from now. Okay. You have grandkids, and one of them is a writer and decides to write a book about Mr. Mike Taravella, Grandpa Mike. What would you like the title to be? Or what would you like some of the characteristics that your grandchild highlights about you and your life?
I'm going to say game changer, because the reason for it is, if I followed the path of my family, it was to be an educator or be an engineer at Chrysler. So it's following the same thing. And so right now, my trajectory is I want to work so hard that not necessarily my kids don't have to work, but they're taken care of generationally, right? So Michael the fifth or sixth, however many are in the lineage, because I'm a junior, I'm hoping that passes through. But I just really hope that they have the confidence to listen to the people that help them move the needle and create game changers in their life. John Kasman was a game changer for me. Jake and Gino were game changers for me. Everyone in my path that helped me get to multifamily was truly a game changer. So I want to be someone's game changer, whether it be my family, whether it be friends, whether it be listeners of the podcast. So I think the autobiography would be game changer, just showing the path, the evolution from Fat Mike, who's in accounting, who for 5 years really didn't know what he was doing, to now I'm in real estate and I love every day, where I'm working sometimes 6-7 days a week just trying to move the needle. So just game changer.
Beautiful. Grandpa Mike, the game changer. Influence generations to come. I love it, man.
I'm going to trademark that before you steal it from me.
I already wrote it down. All right, Mike, can you tell the listeners how people can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So my email is mike.t@randcre. That's MIKET @randcre.com. If you have any questions I recommend everyone go to the portal at randpartners.com and sign up for our portal. You'll be able to schedule calls, get our newsletters, and see any potential opportunities in the future. But more importantly, take that action to learn more about multifamily, whether you're starting off, whether you've invested in several deals. We'd love to learn and help each other grow. I'm a resource for you. So sign up for the portal. And like I said, MikeT@randcre.com.
All right, guys. So, Mike, thank you so much. The game changer, Mr. Grandpa Mike. I love it. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and to everybody out there, thank you so much, and talk to you next time.
Yep. See you, Nico.
Bye-bye.
I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast where we show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. Now, if you liked what you heard, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, go to my website at smalaxecommunities.com. And until the next episode, keep sharpening those axes.